The Governor-General, that we, the National Parliament of Solomon Islands, here assembled, beg leave to offer thanks to the speech which has been addressed by His Excellency the Governor-General to the Parliament on the 4th of August 2026. Mr. Speaker, at the outset, I thank His Excellency for articulating the Great Coalition government's vision and priorities for advancing education and investing in the people of Solomon Islands. Mr. Speaker, education remains one of the most powerful investments any nation can make. It is the foundation upon which we build a prosperous economy, a peaceful society, and a capable generation of the future leaders. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency has reaffirmed that education remains one of the government's highest national priorities, as demonstrated by the allocation of approximately SBD 1.4 billion to the education sector in the 2026 national budget. Sir, the speech also reaffirmed the government's commitment to education policies. For instance, progressive introduction of free education by 2027, the establishment of a dedicated Ministry of Higher Education, Skills Development and Research, the restructuring of the education sector to improve governance and service delivery, the modernization of national curriculum with particular emphasis on senior secondary education, including STEM and TVET, continued investment in the professional development and welfare of our teachers, and lastly, the strengthening of strategic partnerships with our development partners to support the achievement of these important reforms. This commitment, Mr. Speaker, sir, reflects the government's determination to build an education system that is inclusive, equitable, relevant, and responsive to the aspirations and development needs of Solomon Islands. Sir, Mr. Speaker, I will speak mainly first on the free education. I commend the government for reaffirming its commitment to free education. As alluded by, as been echoed in the speech by the Governor-General, it is a free education. Free gogos and hatumas, yeah? Free hem soaya, Mr. Speaker. Hem soatumas na and free, yeah? But change is coming. It will be painful. So in those changes, free is one of those painful ones. Free education in Solomon Islands is a government-funded policy. Hem no free, yeah? Hem free on one side, but hem no free on another side. But we give that free to the government, to the parents. Funded policy that removes a subsidized tuition and approves school fees for students in participating schools, enabling greater access to education while reducing the financial burden on families. Although some indirect school costs may still be paid by the parents or guardians. So that's how school fee come. Torch of school fee, also with a new torch where you pay you press 3 times here. First press no more, but you will also talk now. You wait, buy a touch come more, buy a press more, buy clear good by time make 3M come. So you will steady. It's not the first torch no more, but you have him no good to master. You wait. It's a new type here. First torch, second press, third press, buy him clear now. So this policy represents more than simply removing school fees. It is about enabling the child, regardless of where they live or the income of their family, as an equal opportunity to receive quality education. For those many years, families have struggled, Mr. Speaker, to meet the costs associated with sending their children to school. So many parents have been forced to choose which child to educate because of financial hardship. Free education provides hope that no child will be denied learning because of poverty. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development established a free education task force to coordinate all technical work required for implementation. Sir, the task force is leading the development of the free education policy, implementation, framework, financing arrangements, governance systems, legislative requirements, and stakeholders' consultation. Recognizing the complexity of this reform, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry has also engaged specialized technical consultants with generous support from our donor partners to strengthen this work. This expertise, Mr. Speaker, will be assisting the Ministry in the areas of developing the free education policy, preparing the implementation roadmap, undertaking education financing and fiscal analysis, strengthening grant management systems, reviewing institutional arrangements, supporting policy implementation planning, and ensuring reforms are evidence-based and financially sustainable. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are not isolated activities. They have already been incorporated in the Ministry's 2026 annual work plan and supported through budget allocation to ensure implementation planning continues throughout this year. Sir, we have also requested supplementary budget to support this preparatory stage. Sir, however, the great government knows that free education must also be accompanied by quality education. Eliminating school fees alone will not deliver the desired outcomes unless schools are adequately resourced. Mr. Speaker, the government through MERD must ensure that the classrooms are properly equipped, learning materials are available on time, teachers are adequately trained and supported, and school infrastructure continues to improve across all provinces. Mr. Speaker, particular attention is also given to remote and rural communities where students continue to face significant barriers in accessing education. Sir, equal access must also remain the guiding principle of this policy. Mr. Speaker, free education is an investment in our people and the future. Sir, I also welcome the Governor-General's announcement of the Great Coalition's intention to establish a dedicated Ministry of Higher Education, Skills Development, Research and Innovation. Sir, this is not merely an administrative exercise, but it is a strategic reform that recognizes that school education and higher education have evolved into distinct sectors, each requiring dedicated leadership, specialized policy development, and focused investment. Sir, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development will maintain its name and mandate and will continue to concentrate on strengthening learning from early childhood education, primary education to secondary education, improving literacy and numeracy, teacher quality, curriculum, implementation, assessment, and school governance. The new Ministry of Higher Education Skills Development, Mr. Speaker, sir, will provide dedicated leadership for universities, colleges, scholarships, research, innovation, technical and vocational educational workforce, planning, and national skills development. Mr. Speaker, sir, together, these two ministries will create a stronger and more responsive education system that will better meet the needs of our growing population for our future. Therefore, the establishment of a separate ministry presents an opportunity to improve coordination among higher education institutions, strengthen quality assurance, and better align tertiary education with the nation's development priorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency also highlighted the government's commitment to curriculum reform and technology in education. The government's emphasis on STEM and technical and vocational education and training is both timely and necessary. Sir, the future economy will increasingly depend on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, innovation, and technical skills. Solomon Islands must prepare its young people to participate confidently in this changing world. Sir, our education system must be beyond preparing students solely for academic qualifications. It must also prepare them for employment, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance. Sir, the Great Coalition's government do not see technical and vocational education as a second option or a second chance, but recognize it as an equally valuable pathway that equips students with practical skills in construction, electrical trades, plumbing, agriculture, fisheries, hospitality, tourism, information technology, renewable energy, automotive engineering, and many other professionals that are essential for nation development. In response to these significant needs, the Ministry is near completion of the revised primary and junior secondary curriculum. Early this year, the Minister of Education has started reviewing and redeveloping the senior secondary curriculum while simultaneously reviewing the early childhood education curriculum. By 2027, the Solomon Islands will have a coherent curriculum framework from early childhood education through to secondary education, that is year 12. Mr. Speaker, sir, alongside this work, the Ministry has commenced a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM for short, educations in schools or in school pilots with technical support from UNESCO. That is to strengthen science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education and prepare students for emerging industries and future employment opportunities. Mr. Speaker, I also welcome the government's legislative agenda concerning education. Strong education systems require strong foundations. Sir, legislation provides clarity, accountability, consistency, and long-term stability beyond political cycles. As education reforms continue, our legal framework must keep pace with emerging challenges and opportunities. Accordingly, the Ministry is progressing an ambitious legislative program that includes the Education Digital Transformation Policy and Bill, the Higher Education Skills Development and Research Bill, the Solomon Islands Tertiary Education and Skills Authority Amendment Bill, the Solomon Islands University of Technology Bill, and the National TWELFTH Bill. These bills will provide the legal foundation necessary to modernize our education system, improve governance, and strengthen quality assurance. Sir, the government recognizes that the national development depends not only on university graduates, but also on skilled trades people, technicians, entrepreneurs, and innovators. I am pleased to report that the National TWELFTH Policy was launched earlier this year and is being implemented. Sir, the Ministry is currently developing a comprehensive long-term or TWELFTH strategy with support from donors that will guide the sector over the coming decade, strengthen industry partnership, improve quality assurance, and expand access to skills training throughout Solomon Islands. The proposed TWELFTH Bill will complete We'll complete this reform by establishing a modern legislative framework for technical and vocational education. Sir, MERD is prioritizing legislation and strengthening education governance to enhance institutional accountability, improve quality assurance across all levels of education, support inclusive education for children with disability, promotes child protection within schools, strengthens teachers' professional standards, and supports digital education and innovation. MERD wants to have legislative reforms that encourages collaboration between government, churches, provincial governments, private education providers, communities, and development partners. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important that all education legislation that have placed students at the center of policy development and implementation. The Great Coalition Government is embarking to have education laws that are not simply regulate institutions. They must empower learners and create opportunities for lifelong learning. Mr. Speaker, sir, while we are making significant progress, we also acknowledge substantial challenges. For instance, ensuring the long-term financial sustainability of free education, increasing demand for classrooms and learning resources, shortages of qualified teachers, improving teacher quality and professional developments, strengthening education management and accountability, expanding digital infrastructure and connectivity, improving access for rural and remote schools, and ensuring legislation keeps pace with education reform. These challenges, Mr. Speaker, sir, requires strong partnership between government, parliament, provincial governments, churches, schools, communities, and our valued development partners. Mr. Speaker, sir, in closing, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all our donor partners and education stakeholders for your steadfast support and commitment to improving education in Solomon Islands. Sir, your generous contributions have helped expand access to quality education, strengthen our schools, and create better opportunities for children and communities across these lovely islands. Mr. Speaker, sir, your partnership is making a meaningful difference in the lives of our students and teachers. We deeply value your trust, collaboration, and shared vision for a brighter future. Together, we are building a stronger education system that will benefit generations to come. Thank you for your continued support and commitment, Mr. Speaker, to education in Solomon Islands, and we are looking forward for more of your continuous support. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Governor-General also reminded us in this House that education is an investment in our people and our future. The Ministry fully shares that vision. Therefore, it is our responsibility now to translate this policy into actions. We have laid the foundations through careful planning, institutional reforms, technical preparations, strategic partnership, and legislative development. This work ahead is considerable, but our direction is clear. Sir, together we are building an education system that will provide every Solomon Islanders with the opportunity to learn, develop skills, contribute to our nation's prosperity, and realize their full potential. And may our sovereign God continue to grant wisdom and knowledge as we continue to execute the education reform in this great country. With that, thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable MP for Mopinende. Let me give the floor to, on this side first, MP for East of Montgomery. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to honestly and constructively express my policy views in response to the motion to thank His Excellency in delivering the speech from the throne on the 4th of August 2026. Let me begin by conveying on behalf of my good people of Gizo and Kolobangara my sincere appreciation to His Excellency the Governor-General on discharging his constitutional duty of opening the 4th meeting of the first session of the 12th Parliament. So, let me also place, on behalf of my people, congratulate the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Matthew Kupawale, Member of Parliament for Auke Langalanga, on his election as Prime Minister of Solomon Islands 90 days ago or so. I also extend my congratulations to the good people of Auke Langalanga for having their Member of Parliament entrusted with the highest political office in our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to make my position absolutely clear. I will support policies of the government where those policies genuinely advance the socio-economic well-being of my people and the good people of Solomon Islands. But supporting government where government is right does not mean surrendering my constitutional responsibility as a member of the opposition or as the opposition bench. Where policies require scrutiny, I will scrutinize them. Where expenditure requires justification, I will ask questions. Where legislations require improvement, I thank the Honorable Prime Minister for welcoming. I will propose amendments. And where government action is contrary to the national interest, I will speak. That is democracy, and I believe that is what Parliament is for. That is the responsibility entrusted to every one of us by our people. So a season of change must also be a season of accountability. I was particularly encouraged to hear His Excellency the Governor-General reaffirm the foundational values of our Constitution and the place of God in the establishment of our nation. Our Constitution does not establish a nation built merely around political power. It establishes a nation founded upon fundamental principles of freedom, democracy, good governance, and the dignity of our beloved people. I therefore welcome the Honorable Prime Minister's message. We are not your lords, we are your servants. Mr. Speaker, to me, that is a powerful political covenant. But words alone do not govern a country, sir. The test of this government, sir, will not be what it says in Parliament. The test will be what happens in the villages, settlements, schools, hospitals, farms, fishing grounds, businesses, and communities throughout the breadth of Solomon Islands. If ministers say they are servant, that would mean public service must reach the people. If permanent secretaries are servant, then ministries must implement cabinet decisions efficiently. If members of parliament are servant, then we must put national interest above personal political interest. And if the public service is the machinery of government, that machinery must be professional, politically neutral, ethical, and result-oriented without political fear or favor. It must become measurable public policy. 6 pillars are about 6 tests of performance. I welcome the 6 broad pillars presented through the speech from the throne, namely rule of law, transparency and accountability, economic opportunity and environmental stewardship, national security, education, health and human capital, social cohesion and community well-being and infrastructure. I want to discuss each pillar not merely by asking whether it is good policy, sir. Most of these policies are obviously good. The harder question I would like to pose, sir, is how will they be financed? Who will implement them? When will they be implemented? What legislation is required? What measurable outcome will the people see? And most importantly, what is genuinely new? And what is a continuation of work already commenced by previous governments? That distinction matters, sir. Let me begin by rule of law, transparency, and accountability. Mr. Speaker, sir, I welcome the government's commitment to strengthening the pillars of our democracy, including parliamentary independence. I particularly welcome the proposal that within the next 6 months, a Parliament Autonomy Working Group will be established to advance this Honourable House towards greater autonomy over its finances and administration. That is important. I respectfully affirm that work that has been carried out by a previous government is now in the hands of great government to implement it. It is a progressive constitutional and institutional journey that has been advanced by successive governments and by this Parliament itself, sir. The record of appropriations, institutional reforms, and parliamentary development over recent years demonstrates that this objective has been progressively pursued. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, my recommendation in regards to that policy is that let GRED complete the work that it is now promising to complete. Let us identify precisely what remains outstanding. Let us establish a parliamentary autonomy roadmap. Let us identify the legislative amendment required. Let us identify the financial requirement. Let us establish a time frame for implementation, and let us report publicly to this Parliament on progress every 6 months. The people should not have to wait for another government to hear another promise about parliamentary autonomy. It is now in the hands of this government to finish it. Next, sir, a modern, professional, and servant-hearted public service. I strongly support the government's recognition that a capable, ethical, and high-performing public service is fundamental to national development. But again, let us acknowledge the work that has already been done. The Public Service Act 2025 represents a significant reform of our public administration framework. It replaces the long-standing Public Service Act 1988, and it is intended to modernize public administration and human resource management. This is not an insignificant achievement. It is therefore important that the great government does not treat public service reform as if Solomon Island has just started on this policy from zero, but advance it to much better public service-oriented program than before. The legislation is already there. The challenge now is implementation. The government must ensure that the new Act is properly operationalized, understood by public servants, supported by regulations, and implemented consistently throughout the country. The recent nationwide socialization program, including the program conducted in Gizo, demonstrate that implementation of work is already underway. Mr. Speaker, I also welcome the proposed comprehensive remuneration reform, including consideration of phased increase in public service salaries and benefit. But let us be responsible. A salary increase is not free money, and I believe we all understand that. Every increase in the public service wage bill must ultimately be financed by the taxpayer, economic growth, improved revenue collection, grant or borrowing. Therefore, salary reform must be fiscally affordable, sustainable over the medium term, linked to productivity, supported by proper workforce planning, fair across public service, and accompanied by performance and accountability. Any responsible government must not make promises that it cannot finance. Our public servants deserve more than political promises. They deserve a sustainable remuneration system. Sound and sovereign economy. Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne rightly recognizes economic recovery driven by mining, agriculture, fisheries, business services, and major infrastructure development. The latest IMF assessment provides important context. The Solomon Islands economy is estimated to have grown by 3.5% in 2025, supported particularly by gold production, agriculture, and infrastructure projects. However, growth is projected to slow to approximately 2.6% in 2026, while inflation is projected at about 5.4%. The IMF also warns about fiscal deficits, depleted cash buffers, revenue uncertainty, and financing constraint. Mr. Speakers, these numbers should keep the government at alert 24/7. And I trust that they will do. We cannot simultaneously promise everything to everybody without answering the fundamental question: where will the money come from? The IMF has specifically recommended realistic and fully financed budget, rebuilding government cash buffers, strengthening tax administration, avoiding delays in work reform, and improving management of mineral resource revenues. That is why I welcome the government's commitments to tax reform, including the Income Tax Act and value-added tax. But once again, that is not a completely new policy. Previous government has already embarked upon this reform journey. Government financial policy documents had identified what and the review of the Income Tax Act as part of the broader tax reform program. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, my challenge to great government is: do not spend the next 2 years announcing reform that has already been announced. It is now an opportunity to implement them. Sixth is the Ports Act. It's the elephant in the room, Mr. Speaker, sir. I now come to an issue which I believe deserves much greater political courage: the review of our Ports Act. The Ports Act is not a minor piece of legislation. It governs important aspects of our port establishment, management, regulation, wharves, pilotage, harbour dues, and port operations. Our international ports are the gateways through which Solomon Islands participates in international commerce. Our exports live through our ports. Our imports enter through our ports. Fuel, machinery, food, construction material, mining equipment, and other essential goods come through our ports. Therefore, port governance is directly connected to national revenue, custom control, national security, investment, trade, environmental protection, maritime safety, and the sovereignty of our beloved country, Solomon Islands. Mr. Speaker, I therefore call upon the government to undertake a comprehensive review of the Ports Act and the legal and regulatory framework governing privately operated commercial wharves and international maritime facilities. If any commercial wharf is operating without approvals, licensing, declaration, or regulatory authority required under our laws, then the government must address that situation. I know most of members of parliament knows that this work must be taken seriously and it must be done during the life of this 12th parliament, Mr. Speaker, sir. The law must be applied equally. We cannot have one set of rules for ordinary Solomon Islanders and another set of rules for powerful investors. We cannot preach rule of law in this chamber while tolerating regulatory uncertainty outside this chamber, sir. We must welcome investment, but investment must operate within the law. I am not calling for government to drive investors away, sir. I am calling for government to create certainty. Let us review the law. Let us review the Ports Act. Let us establish clear licensing requirement. Let us clarify the authority of the Solomon Islands Ports Authority. Let us clarify the relationship between ports, customs, immigration, environment, maritime safety, and other regulators, sir. Let us establish transparent rules for private wharves. And let us make sure that every investor, whether local or foreign, operates under the same legal framework. That is not anti-investment. That is responsible investment governance. Economic transformation must mean local economic empowerment, sir. Economic transformation cannot mean simply bringing more foreign capital into Solomon Islands. Economic transformation must mean more Solomon Islanders owning businesses. It must mean more Solomon Islanders processing our resources. It must mean more Solomon Islanders participating in supply chains. And it must mean more rural people moving from subsistence production into commercial agriculture, fishery, tourism, and small enterprises. I applaud some of the policies that the government has raised, and I'm calling on respective ministers to ensure that they implement them. The World Bank's new 6-year partnership with Solomon Islands similarly identifies fisheries, tourism, energy, infrastructure, public finance reform, and private sector growth as important areas for creating opportunity and jobs. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is where constituency development must also be connected to national economic policy. A fisherman in Gizo or in Lata or in Makira should not simply catch fish. He should also have access to cold storage, ice, finance, market, and processing. A farmer in a remote island should not simply grow cocoa, tree, or coconut. He should have access to transport, processing, packaging, finance, and reliable markets. A young person should not simply be told to look for a job. Government must create an environment where that young person can establish a business and employ another Solomon Islander. That is economic empowerment, sir. On national security, Mr. Speaker, I welcome national security as one of the 6 pillars. But national security must be understood broadly. It is not only policing. It includes border security, maritime security, cyber security, food security, energy security, critical infrastructure, disaster preparedness, public order, economic security, health security, and the protection of our sovereignty. Solomon Islands must remain a sovereign country capable of maintaining constructive relations with all our development and security partners. And I would like to affirm my support for the security-related consent that the leader of the official opposition group had stated earlier on today, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our national interest must always come first. We must be friends to all and enemies to none. Security cooperation should strengthen Solomon Islands' capacity, not create unnecessary dependency. And any major security agreement affecting our sovereignty, defense, policing, or maritime jurisdiction must be subjected to appropriate constitutional, legal, and parliamentary scrutiny. That is not anti-partner, that is what sovereign government means. On education, health, and human capital, Mr. Speaker, I welcome the government's emphasis on education, health, and human capital. But I urge the government to go beyond policy announcements. Education reform must answer several questions. And I would like to thank the Minister for Education, highlighting that we must not rush three-fala switch. I hope that you may, by press law 1, 2, 3, light go bright, but hem no go dim, Mr. Speaker. Education reform must answer several questions. How much will it cost? How many teachers will be required? How many classrooms? How many laboratories? How many technical and vocational training places? How will we support students in rural communities? How will we finance higher education? How will we ensure that Solomon Islanders graduating from our institutions actually find productive employment? We must also ensure that education policy is linked to our economic strategy. If we want fisheries development, train fisheries technicians. If we want mining, train geologists, economic geologists, mining engineers, and environmental specialists. If we want tourism, train hospitality workers. If we want digital transformation, train ICT professionals. If we want modern agriculture, train agriculture scientists and commercial farmers. Establish research centers. Education must prepare Solomon Islanders to own and operate the economy we are trying to build. Health is not only about hospitals. The same principles applies to health as it is to education. Health policy must include hospital, but it must not end with hospitals. We need rural health services, medical supply chain, reliable medicine, maternal and child health, mental health services, public health education, sanitation, clean water, nutrition, health worker retention, and emergency preparedness. Stakal of the rural constituency communities Bloyumi, by which Holem 70% of people Bloyumi. Ako no garem basic sanitation, yeah, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let us support that program so that every community Bloyumi garem proper sanitations. Very basic, sir. The people of the provinces should not have to travel to Honiara for every serious medical needs. The government must strengthen and continue to strengthen provincial health system so that decentralization of health services can become real. Social cohesion and community well-being. Mr. Speaker, the fifth pillar, social cohesion and community well-being, is especially important for our country. We know our history, sir. We know the pain of ethnic tension. We know the consequences of political instability, sir. We know what happens when young people lose hope. We know what happens when communities believe government has forgotten them. Therefore, development must reach beyond Honiara. It must reach Gizo. It must reach Temotu. It must reach Malaita Outer Island. It must reach remote villages in Guadalcanal and every corner of Solomon Island. Social cohesion means investing in people. It means strengthening churches, traditional leadership, women, youth, sport, community organization, and local economic institutions. Infrastructure. So, I welcome the infrastructure agenda. Solomon Islands has not suddenly discovered infrastructure. It has invested into it and continues to support that initiative. Successive governments have invested in roads, telecommunication, energy, ports, airports, water, health, and other infrastructure. Projects such as the Tina Hydro project are important national investment. The World Bank continues to identify Tina as a foundation for expanding access to cleaner, more affordable and reliable electricity. Gold Ridge, telecommunication expansion, road projects and other investment supported by development partners in the past, present, and in the future have contributed to the platform upon which the present government is building. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, GRED should now work on continuing to implement programs that it has now inherits. Government is continuous. Political governments come and go. The people own the government. The taxpayer owns the infrastructure. The development partners support the country, not individual political unions. The proper language, I believe, is this government inherited this program. We want to see it improving it and finishing it. That is leadership. On the fiscal responsibility, I believe that is the test of every promise. Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize one issue which must sit underneath the 6 pillars. Fiscal responsibility. The IMF's July 2026 assessment projects a fiscal deficit of approximately 4.1% of GDP in 2026, and government debt rising further in the medium term. It has warned that depleted cash reserve, revenue uncertainty, and budget financing constraints pose significant risk to implementation. Therefore, whenever the government announces a new program, I ask, what is the cost? When will it start? What is the funding source? Is it already appropriated? Is it grant-funded? Is it debt-funded? Is it recurrent expenditure or capital expenditure? What happens when the donor funded ends? And can Solomon Islands sustain it? Mr. Speaker, a policy without a financing plan is an aspiration. A policy with a financing plan is a program. A policy with financing, legislation, responsible institution, measurable targets, and reporting mechanism is governance. That is the standard we must demand. And I demand that, Mr. Speaker, sir. Great government also about what is new, sir, is supposed to take more precautionary measure in ensuring that it implements the policies based on the fiscal space we have not only this year but into the future. This is perhaps my central message today, sir. I support reform. I support empowerment. I support advancement. I support transformation. But I believe the people deserve political honesty. If a program has been started, we must acknowledge it and be clear on what we will do next. If GRED improves it, take credit for the improvement. If GRED completes it, take credit for completion. But let us not rewrite history. National development is that I see it as a relay race. not a political ownership contest. One government carries the baton. Another government receives it. Another government may take it further. The ultimate winner must not be any political government. The ultimate winner must be Solomon Islanders. Mr. Speaker, I therefore put 5 straightforward questions to the government as it begins implementing the program outlined in the speech from the throne. And they are these. First, what are the first 10 reforms that the great government will actually complete within the next 12 months? Not announced, not consulted, definitely complete. Second, what is the full cost of the great program and how will it be financed? Third, which policies are genuinely new and which are inherited programs being continued or expanded? Fourth, what measurable indicators will government use to determine whether GRED is succeeding? Fifth, sir, is that how will Parliament and the people hold ministers and ministry accountable for delivery? These are reasonable questions, and I believe they are not political attacks. They are parliamentary accountability. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by reaffirming my commitment to my people of Gizo and the people of Solomon Islands. I will continue to represent their interest with courage, humility, and honesty. Where government policies improves the life of our people, I will support them. Where government policies require improvement, I will propose improvement. Where government needs constructive support, I will provide it. And where government needs to be held accountable, I will do my constitutional duty. I do not believe opposition or parliamentary scrutiny should mean opposing everything. Equally, I do not believe supporting government means supporting everything. The people did not elect us to clap for government. They elected us to govern, legislate, scrutinize, represent, and protect the national interest. That is why Parliament matters. Mr. Speaker, the Governor-General has spoken of a season of change. Let that change be real. Let us change from promise to delivery. Let us change from political ownership to national ownership. Let us change from centralization to meaningful decentralization. Let us change from dependency to economic empowerment. Let us change from weak enforcement to the rule of law. Let us change from short-term political calculation to long-term national planning. Let us change from announcing reform to implementing reforms. Let us change from asking what government can do for Solomon Islanders to asking how the government can empower Solomon Islanders to do more for themselves. And above all, let us remember that leadership is not about being served, leadership is about serving. The Prime Minister has said, "We are not your lords, we are your servants." Mr. Speaker, I welcome that statement, but I challenge every minister, every permanent secretary, and every public servant. Let us now walk the talk. Let us make the statement visible in our schools, visible in our hospitals, visible in our roads, visible in our villages, visible in our ports, visible in our fisheries, visible in our farms, visible in our businesses, visible in our communities, and visible in the lives of ordinary Solomon Islanders. Because at the end of this parliamentary term, our people will not judge great by the number of speeches we deliver. They will judge us by whether their lives became better. Mr. Speaker, I therefore welcome the speech from the throne as an important statement of the government's intended direction, but I also respectfully remind this honorable House of this, a speech from the throne is a beginning, not an achievement. The real work begins after the speech. The real test begins when the budget is tabled, and I am looking forward for that. The real test begins when legislation comes before this House. The real test begins when ministers return to their ministries. The real test begins when permanent secretaries receive their instruction. The real test begins when government programs reach our communities. And the ultimate test begins when our people ask, has my life improved? Mr. Speaker, Solomon Islands does not need another political season of promises. We need a season of implementation. We do not need a government that merely tells our people that change is coming. We need a government that can demonstrate that change has arrived. And I stayed ready as a member of this honorable House to work with government where it serves the national interest, to challenge it where necessary, and to ensure that the people of Solomon Islands remain at the center of everything we do. Let us remember our national motto, to lead is to serve. Let us serve with integrity. Let us reform with courage. Let us empower with purpose. Let us advance with wisdom. And let us transform Solomon Islands, not for ourselves, not for our political union, but for the generations yet unborn. May God continue to guard the work of the government, the work of all members of the Honorable House, and may God bless Solomon Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MP. Let me give the floor to the Honorable Minister for Justice and MP for Northville Alvela.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to respond to the address delivered by His Excellency the Governor-General in the opening of this sitting. I will be brief to allow other speakers to contribute. At the outset, I extend my sincere appreciation to His Excellency for presenting the government's vision and priorities of our nation. The address provides a clear direction of our collective efforts as we work together to improve the lives of all Solomon Islanders through good governance, sustainable development, and effective public service. The address reminds us that the rule of law, peace, security, accountability, and access to justice remain fundamental pillars of our democracy. These principles underpin the government's commitment to building a peaceful, inclusive, and prosperous Solomon Islands where every citizen enjoys equal protection under the law. Having said that, let me briefly report on my ministry, the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs, and the National Judiciary, which comes under my portfolio. We are moving with purpose to implement the great coalition policies, focusing on institutional maturity as we approach our nation's 50th anniversary of independence in 2028. The landmark legislative reform is carried out to reform our legal institutions those reforms since 1978 is carried out to modernize the mandates of our key legal offices. Since 1978, these legal institutions has been reviewed or reformed. And as we go into a changing environment, that needs to go with the change of our legal institutions. The AG chambers, the DPP, and the Public Solicitor's Office. This will allow them to carry out their work effectively. I'm happy to say that Cabinet has approved these bills or these submission, and we are working with the AG chambers for the legal, for the instruction, and I hope to present this bill as and when they are ready. The roadmap to an autonomous judiciary is a cornerstone of our policy is the establishment of the autonomous judiciary. The government will consider a detailed model for the Solomon Islands national judiciary. This roadmap includes specific deliverables leading to a full launch in July 2028. Central to this reform is the proposed establishment of a special fund to ensure there is financial security. Now let me just briefly put to the floor that the judiciary always have hiccups when it comes to financing their work, the court circuit and other things. So the bottom line for the autonomy is to allow the judiciary to be autonomous in their finance and their administration. That would allow them to function and carry out their work without waiting for, as usual, Imicolo finance for Tekemselen, but there is nothing there. So this autonomy will give them the responsibility and the mandate to carry out the work without any fuss of seeking funds. That is the bottom line for this. But there are other institutions where Baham come up with that for a model. It is part of it. But the bottom line for that one is to allow judiciary to carry out their work effectively and efficiently. Next is the 2025 performance access to justice in action. Our policy of justice in the community level is yielding tangible results across our courts, the magistrate courts. In 2025, the Central Magistrate Court achieved a remarkable 108.9% clearance rate of criminal matters and 120.5% of civil cases, effectively reducing long-standing backlogs. The provincial success disposal rates remain high across the districts, with 93.3 in the Western District and 92.8 in Malaita. The Superior Courts, the High Court maintained a 98.47 clearance rate, while the Court of Appeal improved its performance to 83.05 clearance rate by extending its sittings. The land justice, we have nearly cleared the customary land appeal court, the CLAC backlog, with pending cases around 20. That is according to the records that we have. For the infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, we are building a physical digital legacy for our children, the Justice Precinct. A 15 million has been approved under our development budget to begin the building of a new Justice Precinct embassy as a gift to the nation for our 50th anniversary. Technical surveys, including UXO, the GeoWork, are already underway or endorsed for tendering. And the regional digital leadership, our Justice Information Management System, they call it GIMS, is now the envy of the Pacific. The 7 neighboring countries, including Fiji, have requested to share this technology. And I must say that me signing MOU with him, Justice Law Fiji, but not in others, and this is part of it. We share technology, exchange of manpower, focused on short training. So this is part of it, and they are here to get the GIMS. We are the owner of this technology, and what I like come for Tekem and for using in their courts. I think that is what very effective law system, law court system this time. Mr. Speaker, sir, through the continued execution of court circuits, supported by our legal agencies and new marine assets, we are ensuring that no Solomon Island is too remote to receive the protection of the law. With our new legislative bills, our roadmap to autonomy, and our landmark infrastructure project, we are building a justice system that is mature, independent, and resilient. We will continue to work closely with the judiciary, the Attorney General's chambers, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the Public Solicitor's Office, the Law Reform Commission, the Registrar General's Office, the Ministry of Police, National Security, the provincial governments, civil society organizations, churches, traditional leaders, and our development partners. Through this partnership, we will strengthen coordination and deliver better outcomes to our people. The Ministry also remains committed to improving corporate governance and accountability by strengthening financial management, procurement, human resource management, planning, monitoring, and reporting system. These reforms will ensure that public resources are managed reasonably and that government programs deliver measurable results. I once again thank His Excellency the Governor-General for the address and reaffirm the Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs' unwavering commitment to delivering the government's policy priorities. We stand ready to work with all stakeholders to strengthen the rule of law, improve access to justice, and ensure that our justice institutions continue to serve the people of Solomon Islands with professionalism, integrity, and excellence. May God continue to bless our Parliament and the people of Solomon Islands. With this, I resume my seat.
Thank you, Honourable Dr. Vela. Floor is still open for those who wish to contribute to the motion. Thank you. Let me give the floor to the Minister of Environment. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Speaker. Sir, I rise to respond to the speech by His Excellency the Governor-General and to respond and acknowledge the speech. Sir, the Great Coalition has declared that change is here. And our ministry, my ministry's duty is to ensure that this change reaches every individual, every community, and every province. The speech from the throne makes mention of the 6 pillars of national transformation: rule of law, economic opportunity, and environmental stewardship, national security, education and health, social cohesion, and infrastructure. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, Disaster Management, and Meteorology, Speaker say I'm long to Masnemia, and everything else now, stands at the center of these pillars. For it is through resilience, stewardship, and preparedness that the broader ambitions of our nation can be achieved and sustained. Sir, His Excellency reminds us that prosperity today must never come at the expense of tomorrow's inheritance. Our ministry will translate this principle into action through a comprehensive program of environmental stewardship. We are undertaking legislative reviews to modernize and strengthen the legal framework for environmental protection, supported by the establishment of a new compliance and enforcement unit to ensure that laws are upheld with consistency and accountability. Sir, we will expand protected areas across the Solomon Islands, both on land and at sea, safeguarding biodiversity and ecosystems that sustain livelihoods and cultural heritage. These measures will be community-driven, recognizing the role of provinces and customary landowners as custodians of our natural wealth. Mr. Speaker, waste management remains a critical priority of my ministry. In partnership with the Honiara City Council, we are working towards rehabilitating the Ranadi rubbish dump and developing a new engineered landfill at Tenaru with the support of the Asian Development Bank. Beyond the capital, the ministry will also assist provincial governments to strengthen their waste management systems, extending improved practices to Gizo, Noro, Munda, Auki, Taro, Tulagi, and other provincial centers. Mr. Speaker, sir, climate change remains the greatest existential challenge to our nation. As the speech from the throne affirmed, rising seas, saltwater intrusion, and intensifying weather patterns are already displacing communities and undermining livelihoods. So my ministry will continue to advance adaptation through nature-based solutions and promoting resilience infrastructure, embedding resilience across different sectors such as agriculture, infrastructure, health, and education. We will also support low emissions development, collaborating with the Ministry of Mines and Renewable Energy and other partners to promote and expand renewable energy alternatives to reduce dependence on costly fossil fuels and strengthen our transition to a cleaner and sustainable economy. Mr. Speaker said, more importantly, to secure resources. Our ministry is already pursuing accreditation for national institutions such as the National Transport Fund, the Development Bank of Solomon Islands, and the Ministry of Finance and Treasury. Accreditation will enable direct access to international climate finance, embedding resilience into our financial systems and strengthening sovereignty in climate action. Adaptation and mitigation alone cannot address the irreversible impacts we are already experiencing. The devastation of Tropical Cyclone Mila and the slow onset impact of sea level rise and coastal erosion continue to remind us of real and measurable loss and damage. Families continue to lose homes, land, cultural sites, and livelihoods. In line with the Great Coalition's vision, my ministry is working with relevant ministries and partners to develop a national framework for loss and damage, ensuring affected communities receive support not as charity, but as justice for their loss. This framework will strengthen our voice internationally, mobilize resources, and guarantee that no family or province is left behind. Mr. Speaker, Tropical Cyclone Mila tested our system and reminded us with painful clarity that recovery is not charity, but an investment in our people. In the immediate aftermath of the Cyclone Mila, the government moved quickly to provide early response support, delivering food, water, medical supplies, and temporary shelter. Provincial authorities, constituency offices, and civil society organizations worked alongside national agencies and partners to ensure assistance reached communities without delay. This rapid mobilization showed that preparedness and swift action are critical to saving lives and properties. Mr. Speaker said, for the first time in many years, we are also embarking upon shelter reconstruction for families whose homes were totally destroyed, rebuilding not only houses, but providing security and the foundations upon which families thrive. Alongside this ambitious undertaking, my ministry is also working with other ministry and development partners through the National Disaster Council to restore essential social services, ensuring communities return to normalcy as much as possible. So, on this note, let me assure all those affected by Tropical Cyclone Mila, your government will continue to stand with you, and I humbly ask for your patience and understanding as we walk towards recovery. Mr. Speaker, let me also add that recovery is only one part of the disaster management circle. To avoid escalating cost of response and recovery, it is also equally important that we invest in preparedness and mitigation by strengthening early warning system, reinforcing resilient infrastructure, and embedding risk reduction into community planning. We can reduce future losses and safeguard lives and properties before disaster strike. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me take this opportunity to also acknowledge the support of our partners, especially the government and people of Australia, New Zealand, China, the United States, the World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank and others, whose financial support and hard work ensures that affected communities receive assistance during and after the impact of Tropical Cyclone Mila. Equally, we recognize the tireless efforts of our civil society organizations, churches, community groups, constituency offices, individuals, business houses, and provincial governments, who stood with the people from day one. Honorable members, these demonstrate that disaster is everybody's business. It is not the responsibility of the government alone, nor of partners in isolation. It is a shared duty that calls upon individuals, communities, institutions, and leaders at every level to play their part. When every sector contributes from preparedness and awareness to response and recovery, resilience becomes a collective achievement, and no community will be left behind. Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne pledged modernized meteorological services, and our ministry will deliver. We are now expanding the weather and ocean observation network and investing in reliable weather forecasting services so that communities receive timely and accurate information. Central to this effort will be the installation of the first weather radar in our nation's history, a landmark achievement that will transform our capacity to provide warnings for tropical cyclones and other hydrometeorological hazards. Farmers will planting and harvesting more effectively, fishermen and women will avoid dangerous sea conditions, and businesses will make informed decisions that safeguard investments. As an island nation, climate and ocean services are equally vital. Rising seas, warming waters, and intensifying storms demand accurate marine forecasts. These services will safeguard transport operators and coastal communities, ensuring that the sea, our highway and lifeline, remains safe and productive. Mr. Speaker, we will also enhance aviation weather services, providing pilots and airlines with precise focus that improve safety, reduce delays, and support the growth of our aviation sector. Reliable aviation weather services are essential for trade, tourism, and connectivity, all of which drive economic development. Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne declared that change is here. For my ministry, change means a nation that prepares for climate change impacts, a nation that safeguards its environment, a nation that no longer waits for disaster relief, but builds resilience into daily life. Guided by the Great Coalition's vision of reform, empowerment, accountability, and transformation, we will work towards protecting our environment, strengthen community resilience, and prepare our nation for the future. This is our solemn commitment to serve our people, safeguard our environment, and build a Solomon Islands that is more resilient. Thank you very much, and may God bless Solomon Islands. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Let me give the floor to the Honourable Minister for Provincial Government and Institutional Strengthening and MP for East Central Golokana. Have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving the floor for the Minister of Provincial Government and Institutional Strengthening to contribute to the motion moved by the Prime Minister that an address be presented to His Excellency the Governor-General as follows. We, the National Parliament of Solomon Islands, here assembled, beg leave to offer thanks for the speech which has been addressed by His Excellency the Governor-General to Parliament on 4th August 2026. I also wish to join other colleagues, members of Parliament, to acknowledge and thank His Excellency the Governor-General of Solomon Islands for his remarkable and comprehensive statement to Parliament yesterday. The statement delivered by the Governor-General outlines the government's ambitious agenda for national development. It details priorities including strengthening democratic institutions, advancing economic reforms, empowering indigenous enterprises, and enhancing public services in education, health, and infrastructure. Environmental stewardship, climate resilience, and sustainable management of natural resources are emphasized. The statement highlights the importance of social cohesion, gender equality, youth empowerment, and national identity. It also reaffirms Solomon Islands' foreign policy of constructive engagement. The overall message is a call to unity, ethical leadership, and disciplined implementation for the nation's prosperity. I will contribute only on some of the issues and policies raised by the Governor-General. Mr. Speaker, one of the issues relates to separation of powers between the three spheres of government with strong institutions. The separation of powers between the three spheres of government, as envisaged by the Constitution, provides a vital framework for governance. Such institutions are crucial for upholding the rule of law, maintain checks and balances, and ensuring that each branch of government fulfills its designated responsibilities with efficiency and accountability. But these separations of powers is insufficient on its own. For these principles and roles to be realized in practice, the separation of powers must be complemented by the presence of strong implemented institutions. Robust institutions foster transparency, effectively prevent the abuse of power, and contribute to the overall stability and credibility of the governance system. The separations of power outlined in the Constitution is more effective, and its safeguard truly hold firm when these institutions are given the resources they need to thrive. Mr. Speaker, another issue worth noting relates to political stability and constitutional change. In many developing countries, maintaining political stability remains a significant change for democratic system. The Solomon Islands is no exemption, as is clearly stated by Associate Professor Gordon Nanau of the University of Auckland. Solomon Islands politics resembles a game of musical chairs with serious cause for political stability and good governance. End of quote. We therefore need to develop mechanisms that promote political stability, one of which can be achieved through constitutional measures. From constitutional law standpoint, one important way is to look to other countries in the Pacific region for constitutional and legislative insights that could help reform our political system. Insight from Samoa and Kiribati must be contextualized, may be helpful in dealing with political instability, floor crossing, and motions of no confidence. The underlying point I want to stress is that new legislative insights and wisdom needs to inform our political system in order to strengthening stability and good governance now and into the future. Mr. Speaker, strengthening provincial governance is worth noting as well, as this will have a positive impact on the lives of our people in the provinces. In that regard, let me highlight the Provincial Capacity Development Plan, PCDF. The PCDF was launched under the Provincial Governance Strengthening Program, which has significantly improved governance, accountability, and financial management in the 9 provinces, provincial governments of Solomon Islands. Previously, plagued by weak oversight and poor financial reporting, provinces now consistently submit audit financial statement and manage grants transparently. Since 2008, over 405 million SBD in development grants and 918 SBD millions in recurrent grants have been reported, enabling about 1,700 projects and job creation. The PCDF success has attracted sustainable support from development partners, establishing it as a trusted platform for further investment and provincial development. Ongoing government commitment to PCDF is therefore commended. Mr. Speaker, sir, as all of you know, at the heart of the reforms of the Ministry of Provincial Government is the review of the provincial government system in Solomon Islands. I understand that this review has been stalled for many years. However, with the great coalition political will, the review of the Provincial Government Act 1997 is more strategic with greater clarity around a two-stage approach. This means that while the transitional peaks to the PGA 1997 are on the table for further transmission to the Cabinet, the Ministry will also push forward undertaking central to a broader and more sustainable review of the PGA 1997. In terms of broader review of the PGA 1997, there is a need for a more strategic approach, which means a sustainable literature review and a new policy to capture new changes, contemporary realities and future aspirations. Mr. Speaker, I wish to reaffirm the critical importance of establishing a sovereign wealth plan for Solomon Islands, as shared in the speech from the throne. At this pivotal moment in our nation's development, it is essential to prudently manage and preserve our financial resources, not only to safeguard the future well-being of our citizens, but also to provide resilience in times of economic uncertainty. In echoing the sentiments expressed by the Prime Minister in his Independence Day address, I emphasize that the establishment of a sovereign wealth fund transcends the realm of fiscal policy. As he so aptly stated, and I quote, "It is far more than a financial policy. It is an intergenerational expression of justice. Natural resources are temporary. The well-being of future generations must not be the revenue of today, should become opportunities for tomorrow." End of quote. Furthermore, it is imperative that we engage in meaningful consultation with our provincial government during this process. I note with appreciation that the Premier of Guadalcanal has expressed strong support for this policy initiative and has indicated a willingness to explore investment opportunity with this proposal fund. Mr. Speaker said the statement by from the throne also stated the need for pre-education remains the most effective instrument for poverty alleviation and social mobility. Despite this, education reform in Solomon Islands continue to face significant challenges, and progress has been shown our shortcomings are evident. Once critical areas requiring urgent attention during this parliamentary term is the implementation of pre-education. The significance of this policy cannot be overstated. If we are committed to poverty alleviation and national advancement, this flagship initiative must be realized now. Pre-education must guarantee that every child and student in Solomon Islands attend school regardless of financial circumstances, thereby establishing a foundation for national progress. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, with these few remarks, I would like to thank His Excellency the Governor-General of Solomon Islands for the comprehensive speech from the throne to this House, and I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Further comments, please. Thank you. Let me give the floor to the Minister for Agriculture and Rural Development and MP for East Makira. Have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing the MP for East Makira to contribute to the motion. At the outset, I acknowledge that this is the first sitting since the Great Coalition government assumed office following its formation in May this year. Allow me, therefore, to extend my sincere congratulations to the Honourable Member for Auckilanglaga on his election as the Honourable Prime Minister of Solomon Islands. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I, on behalf of my people of East Makira constituency, warmly and sincerely congratulate the Auckilanglaga MP for being elected the Prime Minister of Solomon Islands. Mr. Speaker, let me now contribute to the traditional speech from the throne delivered by His Excellency the Governor-General, and to reaffirm the government's commitment to transforming the agriculture and livestock sector as a key pillar of our national development agenda. Agriculture remains the backbone of our rural economy. It provides food for our families, income for our communities, employment for our youth, and opportunities for economic growth across our nation. The priorities outlined in the speech from the throne reflect our determination to ensure the agriculture becomes more productive, more resilient, and more commercially viable for all Solomon Islanders. Sir, the Great Coalition Government has come up with 12 policy directives for the ministry to implement, which are: 1, strengthening institutions for better service delivery. A successful agricultural sector requires strong institutions and effective governance. The Great Coalition Government will therefore prioritize implementation of the National Agriculture Development Plan 2026 to 2030 and undertake important legislative and policy reforms that will strengthen the ability of the ministry to serve farmers and stakeholders throughout the country. My ministry will continue to work towards new legislation, including the Solomon Islands National Agriculture and Livestock Act, the Research Center for Agriculture and Livestock, the Agriculture National Advisory Council, and the review of the Biosecurity Act 2013 and the Biosecurity Regulation 2015 to allow for a more effective biosecurity enforcement throughout the whole country. These reforms will ensure greater coordination, accountability, and strategic direction for the sector. Importantly, we are committed to posting agriculture officers to all 50 constituencies so that farmers can access technical services closer to their homes. This is a practical step that will bring government services directly to our rural communities. 2, food security and import substitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, food security is national security. For too long, we have relied heavily on imported food products despite possessing fertile land and abundant natural resources. The Greater Coalition Government is determined to reverse this trend. As His Excellency has rightly stated, we will establish germplasm and collection centers throughout the provinces to preserve and multiply climate-resilient traditional crops such as breadfruit, ngalinat, banana, taro, yam, and vegetables. These crops have sustained our people for generations and will continue to play an important role in ensuring food security in the face of climate change. The government will also expand commercial rice initiatives and strengthen partnerships with schools to produce food for their own consumption and for local markets. Successful examples already demonstrate that schools can contribute to food production while reducing operational costs and supporting surrounding communities. 3, empowering farmers through research, extension, and innovation. Mr. Speaker, sir, agricultural transformation cannot occur without knowledge and innovation. The Great Coalition Government will invest significantly in farmer training, targeting 10,000 farmers by 2028, with climate-smart agricultural skills and modern farming techniques. We will establish extension stations in all constituencies and bring new technologies and research outcomes directly to our farmers. This approach will improve productivity, strengthen climate resilience, and encourage the commercialization of farming activity nationwide. 4, developing the livestock industries. Speaker, sir, the livestock industry offers enormous potential to improve nutrition, reduce imports, and increase incomes. The Great Coalition government is committed to ensuring local production of poultry meat and eggs so that our people can access nutritious protein at more affordable prices. To achieve this, we are facilitating investment in commercial domestic feed milling, poultry breeding facilities, and additional hatcheries. These investments will address long-standing supply constraints and reduce our dependence on imported breeding stock. At the same time, we are revitalizing the national pig breeding program through improved genetics and artificial insemination, while progressing development of national cattle and small ruminant breeding centers. These initiatives will strengthen livestock production and create new opportunities for rural households. 5, strengthening biosecurity and expanding markets. Speaker, sir, protecting our agriculture sector from pests and diseases is essential. The government will strengthen border controls, update biosecurity regulations, and increase penalties for violations. We will continue efforts to eradicate destructive pests such as the coconut rhinoceros beetle and improve food safety systems in line with international standards. At the same time, investment in market access facilities, including the vapor heat treatment and fumigation services, will allow local producers to access new export opportunities and meet international market requirements. 6, revitalizing cocoa and coconut industries. Mr. Speaker, sir, our traditional cash crops, coconut and cocoa, remain among our most important agricultural export commodities. The Great Coalition government intends to support the establishment of new cocoa and coconut plantations across the country, while also rehabilitating aging plantations through improved planting materials, farmer support programs, and better pest and disease management. We will continue expanding nurseries, drying facilities, and storage infrastructure to improve product quality and increase farmer incomes. These measures will strengthen our competitiveness in international markets while creating sustainable economic opportunities for our rural communities. The target is to reach 10,000 hectares of new planted cocoa and coconut trees across the whole nation in the coming years. 7, promoting agro-processing and value addition. Sir, the future of agriculture lies not only in production, but also in value addition. The Great Coalition government will promote agro-processing through targeted incentives, tax exemptions, and investment facilitation measures. We want to encourage local processing industries that create jobs, increase export earnings, and retain more value within our economy. Rather than exporting raw materials, we must increasingly produce finished and semi-finished products that command higher returns in domestic and international markets. 8, inclusive growth for youth, women, and people with special needs. Sir, agriculture must be attractive to our young people and accessible to women, people with special needs, and rural entrepreneurs. The government's vision is an inclusive agricultural sector where mechanization, innovation, and entrepreneurship create pathways to employment and prosperity. We will continue supporting farmer cooperatives, providing technical assistance, and developing opportunities for youth and women to participate meaningfully in commercial agriculture. This is not simply an agriculture policy. It is a nation-building strategy that empowers communities and creates sustainable livelihoods. 9, the extension, research, and innovation. The Great Coalition government recognizes that agricultural transformation cannot be achieved by government alone. Success requires strong partnerships with research institutions, development agencies, farmer organizations, and the private sector. We will continue to strengthen collaboration with institutions abroad and nationally to support innovation, research, technology transfer, and capacity development for our farmers. We also acknowledge the valuable support provided by our development partners, including China, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, the European Union, the World Bank, Save the Children Australia, IFAD, FAO, UNDP, UNICEF, JICA, and other bilateral and multilateral partners that continue to invest in strengthening our agriculture sector. These partnerships will remain critical as we work towards training 10,000 farmers and expanding extension services across all constituencies. 10, climate resilient food production. Mr. Speaker, sir, building resilience to climate change requires sound science, innovation, and collaboration. The government will strengthen partnerships with willing partners and institutes to identify, trial, and distribute climate-smart crop varieties capable of withstanding drought, flooding, pests, and changing weather conditions. These partnerships will support evidence-based policy development and ensure that our farmers have access to the latest knowledge, technologies, and agricultural practices needed to adapt to the climate change and sustain food production into the future. 11, organic and premium certification. Speaker, sir, the vision of the government of the Great Coalition is to access premium organic markets that will require strategic partnerships and investment. We will therefore work closely with development partners, certification agencies, accredited laboratories, producer organizations, and the private sector to establish credible certification and quality assurance systems for Solomon Islands product. 12, the Ola Basin palm oil development. Sir, the Ola Basin palm oil development project represents an important opportunity for economic growth, employment generation, and rural development. To ensure its success, the government will work collaboratively with landowners, provincial authorities, relevant ministries, state-owned enterprises, private investors, and development partners to ensure that the investment is undertaken responsibly and delivers tangible benefits to local communities. The government will also seek technical expertise from regional and international institutions with experience in sustainable palm oil development to ensure environmental safeguards, social protections, landowner interest, and international best practices are fully considered throughout the implementation process. Apart from the Ola Basin palm oil development initiatives, Ministry also recognizes the important contribution of our outgrowers from GPOL and pledge to continue to support them where necessary. Sir, the successful delivery of these ambitious reforms and investments will depend on strong partnerships and timely availability of resources. I wish to acknowledge the continued support of our farmers, producer organizations, cooperatives, provincial governments, churches, non-governmental to all organizations, research institutions, private sector, stakeholders, and development partners. Together, we can build a modern, resilient, and commercially competitive agriculture sector that strengthens food security, creates jobs, increases exports, and contributes meaningfully to the economic transformation of Solomon Islands. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, the agriculture and livestock priorities outlined in the speech from the throne reflect a clear vision that is a productive, resilient, and commercially driven agriculture sector that improves livelihoods, strengthens food security, and contributes significantly to the economic growth. The Great Coalition government is not simply making promises. Many of these initiatives have already commenced, and this government remains committed to turning these priorities into practical outcomes for farmers, communities, and the nation as a whole. From strengthening food security and supporting our farmers to unlocking premium export markets and developing large-scale agricultural investments, this government is laying the foundation for a modern, productive, and globally competitive agriculture sector that will benefit the future generations of Solomon Islands. With those remarks, I wholeheartedly commend the speech from the throne to this Honourable House and reaffirm my ministry's unwavering commitment to delivering these important priorities for the people of Solomon Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I resume my seat.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you. Let me give the floor to the Minister for Lands, Minister for Fisheries and the MP for Malay Taut Island.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I rise as the Minister for Fisheries and Marine Resources to join the Honourable Prime Minister and the members of this House in thanking His Excellency the Governor-General for the speech from the throne. The Governor-General's speech on behalf of the Great Coalition Government sets a clear path for our country. For fisheries, the direction is simple but important. Our marine resources must continue to provide food for our people, jobs for our communities, income from export, and money for the government. However, we must also change how we do things. We need to keep more of the value from our fish here in the Solomon Islands. We must also manage our ocean wisely so that our children and grandchildren can also benefit from them. Mr. Speaker, today I will outline our ministry's plan for the first 90 days. First 90 days of this government's work. From August to December 2026, I will also explain the bigger goals we aim to achieve by April 2028. This 90-day plan is our first chance to show that we can turn policy into real action and deliver benefits that our people can see and feel. Mr. Speaker, our government's plan for fishery is based on 4 main responsibilities. First, protecting our resources, ensuring our fisheries are sustainable for the future. 2, getting the best benefits, making sure we get the most economic and social benefits from our fish. 3, defending our rights, protecting Solomon's right over our fisheries and aquatic resources. And 4, building a strong ministry, maintaining a professional ministry that can give good advice and provide efficient services. Mr. Speaker, sir, these 4 responsibilities support a larger vision of a healthy marine economy. We want to expand sustainable fishery, aquaculture, and other ocean businesses. We will improve cold storage and market access. We will promote local processing to add value
to our fish. We will improve certification and tracking. We will fight illegal fishing, and we will strengthen our research, laws, infrastructure, and the skills of our people. Mr. Speaker, the true test of our government is not just the number of things on a list. The test is whether we can actually move forward on our most important project, remove obstacles, protect our communities, and build a strong foundation for lasting success. Mr. Speaker, this is our plan for the first 90 days. We will focus on getting key projects moving. We will not just talk, we will act. Number one, Bina Harbour Tuna Processing Plant Project. Mr. Speaker, the Bina Harbour project is our largest and most complex task. It is a national project and a key part of our plan to keep more value from tuna here in Solomon Islands. In the next 90 days, the government will work hard to make Bina ready for investment and construction. We will make progress on the business case, finalize project costs, and work on financing strategy. We will continue important work on land and community arrangement and statutory approval. We will also continue talking with investor and development partners about regional tuna supply. Speaker said, our approach will always protect the rights of our customary landowners and ensure communities are involved. We will only make major commitments when the necessary safeguards, financing, and responsibilities are clear. By the end of this period, this House should expect to see a clearer plan for the project's cost and funding, stronger governance, and active engagement with investors and partners. Second, supporting coastal livelihood and seaweed. Mr. Speaker, seaweed farming is a great way for coastal families, including women and young people, to earn a living. The Ministry will support farmers with better inputs, technical advice, and help with improving post-harvest practices to meet food safety standards. Our goal is to increase production, improve the quality and price of seaweed, and build a foundation for more local processing. Mr. Speaker said, we will also work to strengthen fishers associations and cooperatives. These organizations can help producers get better access to finance, transport, cold storage, and markets. Well-run groups can work together to get better prices, manage, share facilities, and receive training. This will help our provincial producers supply reliable markets and keep a fair share of the profits. 3, better electronic system and tracking. Mr. Speaker, modern fisheries management and access to export market depends on reliable information. We must be able to track our fish from the boat to the plate. So, the Ministry will improve our electronic system for ports, landings, and company reporting. We will review our catch documentation and traceability system to meet international market requirements. We will also strengthen electronic reporting and monitoring. Mr. Speaker said, these improvements will give us better transparency from the vessel to the port and from the port to the processor. They will help us manage our fisheries better, detect illegal fishing, and prove to the world that Solomon Islands tuna is legally caught and fully traceable. This will protect our government revenue and our access to important high-value import markets. Fourth, updating our laws and community management. Mr. Speaker, good policy needs a good legal foundation. The Ministry will advance the aquaculture policy and work with province on their fishery ordinances. This will make sure that national law
provincial authority, and community bylaws are all work together. We will also strengthen community-based resources management. We will improve local fisheries and sea cucumber management and gather more evidence to make better decisions about our inshore resources. Coastal fishery governance must work closely with communities, respect customary rights, and use both local knowledge and good science. Our aim is to conserve our resources while ensuring food security and protecting livelihoods. The fifth Aroligo Gift Tilapia project. Mr. Speaker, the Aroligo freshwater fish hatchery is important for diversifying our protein supply, creating small-scale aquaculture businesses, and reducing pressure on our coastal fisheries. During this 90-day period, the Ministry will focus on making the facility fully operational. This will allow the project to move forward with reliable hatchery production and provide training for farmers in the province. Mr. Speaker, the 90-day plan is just the beginning of our work. From January 2027 to April 2028, the Ministry will continue to implement our priorities as long as they are approved by the Cabinet and Parliament and funded in the budget. First, food security, markets, and blue enterprises. Mr. Speaker said, we will improve fishery centers and cold storage services and strengthen supply chains to get fish from the fishers to the markets faster. Our focus is on reducing spoilage, increasing the quality of fish reaching consumers, and ensuring more income reaches rural households. We will expand aquaculture and seaweed farming, support farmer skills, and export ways to process these products locally. We will also assess our other responsible blue enterprise opportunities where science, biosecurity, customary right, and commercial feasibility support development. Diversification is key, but we must not create new problems by putting too much pressure on one resources while trying to save another. Second, onshore tuna processing and keeping value at home. Mr. Speaker, the Bina project will remain our central fisheries investment priority through to April 2028. Following the necessary approvals, the government will work to secure financing and the right private partners. We will continue with the design and implementing infrastructure and move towards construction and making the plant operational. At the same time, we will support the competitiveness of the existing processing plant at Noro. We will review the policies and investment needed to encourage more local landing of fish and domestic processing. We will also continue to promote Solomon Islands as a reliable regional hub for tuna processing and adding value. 3, protecting our waters and export markets. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will strengthen our monitoring, control, and surveillance efforts. We will do this through better electronic system, improve observer and inspection capabilities, coordinate patrols, and effective implementation of each documentation and port state measures. Our goal is to protect our rights, stop illegal fishing, enforce license conditions, and ensure fair competition for all operators. Mr. Speaker, we will also strengthen certification, traceability, inspection, and quality assurance to meet the requirements of our export markets. In cooperation with other ministry and industry, we will improve our laboratory capabilities, logistics, and market information. This will help Solomon Island businesses compete better in regional and global markets. 4th, research, workforce, and institutional reform. Mr. Speaker, good management depends on good information and capable people. The Ministry will strengthen our fisheries research and resources management assessment through partnership with national and regional institutions. This research will support our decision on tuna, coastal fisheries, aquaculture, climate impact, and value addition. We will also invest in developing our workforce to meet the needs of our regulators, scientists, observers, inspectors, and provincial officers. We will continue reviewing our legislation and policies to ensure they are up to date. Internally, the Ministry will strengthen our planning, budgeting, and performance management. Major projects will have a clear leadership and milestone. Our aim is to provide the government with timely advice to ensure that approved funding is turned into complete work. Mr. Speaker, delivering on these promises requires strong cooperation. We must work across government, partner closely with provincial authorities and customary right holders, and engage constructively with industry, regional organizations, and our development partners. We will need the right funding, transparent procurement, and responsible contract management. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will report regularly on the 90-day implementation plan, focusing on the outcomes achieved, the challenge we face, the decision needed from the Ministry, Executive, Cabinet, or our partners. We will always ensure that communities, resources owners, fishers, processors, exporters, women, young people, provincial authorities are consulted on policies and investments that affect their lives and livelihoods. Development is strongest when the benefits are clear, the responsibilities are shared, and the rights of all are respected. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Governor-General's speech from the throne sets a clear ambition for a sustainable fishery and marine economy that delivers greater value to Solomon Islanders. The Ministry 90-day implementation plan gives that ambition and immediate focus through the Bina Harbour project, support for coastal livelihoods, better electronic monitoring, stronger legislation, community stewardship, and aquaculture development. Mr. Speaker said, by December 2026, we intend to show meaningful progress in each of these areas. We will then carry this work forward to April 2028, expanding food supply and markets, strengthening aquaculture, advancing Bina and Noro, protecting our waters, and building a ministry that can deliver on its promises. I acknowledge and thank our communities, provincial government, the private sector, civil society, our development partners, and regional fisheries organizations for their support. I also thank the hardworking staff of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources for the heavy responsibility they carry and all the work that lies ahead. Our fishery resources are among the greatest assets our nation has. Our duty is to manage them wisely, defend them firmly, and transform them into lasting opportunities for our people, not only for today, but for the generation that will follow. With this remark, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Further comments, please. Honourable Prime Minister, unless anyone who wishes to take the floor, I'll give the floor to the Honourable Prime Minister to suspend the meeting.
Thank you, sir. I move that debate on the question be now adjourned until the next sitting day. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. Honourable members, the question is that the debate be now adjourned until the next sitting day. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This debate is therefore now adjourned until the next sitting day. Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister to move the adjournment motion.
Thank you, sir. I move that Parliament do now adjourn.
Thank you, honourable members. The question is that Parliament do now adjourn. All those in favour say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. Ayes have it. The Parliament is now adjourned until 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, 6th August 2026.